I'm Anne Smarty. I'm the co-founder of Smarty Marketing. I've been in the search industry for quite a while, almost maybe over than 2 decades. So I've seen it all, and I'm here to get you updates on anything that's happening in our world. Today with me is April, our director of social, designer, outreach director, so many roles, so many hats. We're so thankful to have you with us.
Thank you. It's been really fun.
So today we are going to be discussing AI overviews. This is formerly SGE from Google. What it does is shows the AI generated summaries on top of search results. We want to know the impact, tools that are tracking them, recent status. There are no good answers yet, because they are very fast developing, they're very dynamic, and Google doesn't know well what it is going to do with them. So Google doesn't have good answers just like we do, so we will not pretend to be giving you answers today. But this is something we need to keep an eye on, because as we watch them developing, we understand them better, we know how to approach them better. So it's not like we have the answers, but we give you updates on all of that. By the way, please do subscribe. It's nsmarty.com. You can search for nsmarty, or you can just type nsmarty.com and subscribe to my newsletter. Every Tuesday, I send detailed newsletters on everything that's going on in the industry. I try to keep everyone as updated as I can on anything that's happening in search, AI, and any digital related topic. Today we're talking about AI overviews. If you're not familiar with that, this is formerly called SGE, Search Generative Experience, and it was the labs experiment from Google. Today it's public, but it's public only for United States residents. I mean, whoever is located in the United States, and only to those who are signed into Google. So it's not exactly public, so it's not publicly public. It's just available to logged in Google users. From a few initial studies that are out there, we know that Google has been softening the public launch of AI overviews. They started about 25% of search queries. Now it's about 15% or even lower. Some studies show 7%. I can tell that from as a user experience, they're not too frequent. So I see them, but for probably like every 6th or 7th query if you keep searching for something. So it's definitely not as impactful these days as everyone was afraid of. So there is hope. Google is working on them actively. On the other hand, we know that if you were part of SGE Labs experiment, you do not see the live version of those AI overviews. So this is something that most of us took some time to realize. If you were SGE Labs experiment participant, you need to either sign out of it so that you see public version of AI overviews, or you need to create another profile in your Google Chrome with a different Google account, so that is not participating in SGA Labs experiment, so that you could see the public version. And why it is important, because those are two different things. What you see in SGE experiment is different from what you see in public launch version of this thing. So make sure you see the really live version of AI overviews. And this is the only way to do that is either to opt out of the labs experiment or create another Google profile in your Chrome browser. Optimizing for AI overviews is not just possible, it is pretty easy. They are very easy to reverse engineer. A few months ago, back in 2023, I published another newsletter episode talking about SGE patent and how it works and how it is very underwhelming. So I wasn't impressed at all, because the only thing it did was just looking through search results and summarizing them. So there are no value added to search results with that experiment. I would love to see AI do more for search than just summarizing. I would love to see bias removed. I would love to see original sources found, not just republishing of something someone works. I would love to see real experts or real first-hand experience surfaced in those AI overviews. Once they summarize what they see in top results in Google, after that they search for references for that information. In Google, for some reason, they found it's a good idea to first summarize everything without any references and then find references that match that summary. So it's almost like absolutely the opposite of what it is supposed to be, and it's absolutely not logical, but that's how it works. So SEO community, of course, figured it out very quickly. A great way to get referenced in AI overviews is to match the information in the AI answer from Google. So if you have any important search queries that include some references and summarize search results, all you have to do, and you're ranking somewhere there, doesn't even matter if it's top 5 or top 10 or even top 20, but if you match your content very closely to what AI overview is currently saying, there's a huge chance you will be included as the reference in the answer, so you will get additional clicks. So it could be both a low-hanging fruit opportunity to those who rank number 6 or lower, or it could be a huge loss to anyone who's ranking number 1, number 2, or something like that. Depending on where you rank for your important query, keep in mind that if there is an AI overview currently showing up for your search query, that's a great experiment. Try to update your page with some information that is closely related. Don't just copy paste, obviously, but it should be very closely related to what shows up in AI overview for that query. There is a huge chance you will be included as the reference for that information, even though you're apparently not the reference. How much better is AI overviews than featured snippets? It seemed fine to me before. Is it anything more than just combining answers from multiple search engines? This is something this is the sentiment I totally agree with. They had quite long time to refine featured snippet algorithm. And even though before that I was sometimes not very happy with the answers that featured snippet would show, now I'm always very satisfied as the user. I'm not talking about SEO or the optimizer or the business owner. As the user, I'm very much satisfied with the feature snippets these days. It took them 10 years. They took quite some time to refine feature snippet algorithm to the point when no one is complaining as everyone is happy. AI overviews is not user-driven feature. This is something to keep in mind. It's not something they were doing for people, for their users. It's something they were doing for PR. It's something that Google introduced not to stay behind. So it's not at all, it has nothing to do with their users. And this is not the first time when Google introduced something that is not user-driven, but just needed. We remember all their efforts to become social media network so that they could know more about their people, about their users. They could get more signals than just backlinks. They failed every time. We remember Google Wave, Google Plus, now it's Google Notes. We remember all those efforts. They failed. Why they failed? Because they were not user-driven. They did not introduce that feature because their people asked for that, their users asked for that. They introduced those features because that was needed for their company, for PR. AI overviews is the same thing. It is not user driven. That's why they are having so many problems with that. They may get it right. They got some right people managing that and developing it. Just like feature snippets, at some point AI overviews may be doing well. We don't know. At this point, they are failing because they are not for people. They are for company. And because every other company is doing that, so Google just cannot be behind. Every big company will have that problem at some point. At some point, they will stop prioritizing their user base, and they will start prioritizing income, being up to date, being PR relevant.
I personally always just go right over them and do my own look further down the page because I don't trust it.
Exactly. AI reviews are not trustworthy at all. I like featured snippets. I always read the answer in featured snippets, but I also always scroll down to find some further information, to find some further research. But that's because of search intent. Of course, search intent can be different. Sometimes people just need a quick answer, and that's all they need, and that's fine. And they find the quick answer in the feature snippet. Now they can find AI overviews and feature snippets below it. It's a work in progress. We got it. We understand this, Google. We are not trying to kind of be too critical of what you're doing. We understand you're struggling too. Feature snippets, not as clickable as organic search. That is something we've known for years. AI overviews, I've seen earlier studies, and Google claims that as well, that they are very clickable, that people do click them, maybe because they're useless. So people try to find more information by clicking it. Maybe that's the reason, but we will see. I don't have firsthand numbers yet, because for our clients, we mostly have e-commerce, bigger clients that target more competitive queries that do not yet trigger any AI overviews. So we don't have as much data as we would love to. AI overviews are triggered for longer tail, more like question type queries at this point. I haven't seen any business yet that has been much impacted by AI overviews yet.
A lot of people have been like blocking Google's AI from using their content. Like I was wondering what the advantages or disadvantages of that would be.
This sends me back 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Remember when everyone started using other people's pictures or some creative images, and everyone was freaking out without copyright and something like that. And at that point, I was like, it is already happening. You cannot stop. You can do your best to kind of instill your brand in the images that people are reusing. Maybe use your logo everywhere you publish them. It's not stoppable. People will still, they will post on social media. You can just not stop things like that. And I feel like this is the stage when it is also not really stoppable. First, this is the higher level opinion on that. Secondly, there is no good way. You cannot stop Google from using your content. AI overviews and organic search results are using the same bot. If you ban one Google bot, you will ban both. So you will not rank if you try to do that at all. So there's no perfect way to do that. Google introduced something called, I think it's called Google Extended. If you use that meta tag, Google will still use your information because it's using the indexed sites. So Google is using whatever is indexed to create those AI overviews. You may prevent Google from showing up your link in that answer, but you cannot prevent Google from using your page information
Yeah.
without blocking Google at all. So that would impact your organic search results as well. So this is the second point. The third point is that there are so many generative AI platforms at this point, and not many of them have any information how you can block them. There is ChatGPT, there is Gemini, there is Claude, there is Perplexity. There are so many of them. you cannot just block all of them because every few months there is a new one coming out. This is almost like going against the wave. Yes, there are some use cases for preventing Google from using your information. Huge publication like New York Times, CNN can put their information against paywall, prevent Google from indexing it, and that is a good way from preventing it to show your information in the AI answers or chat GPT. There are very few use cases when it makes sense and when it's doable. The biggest thing is that it's not really doable. And I think many businesses who are trying to say, that's it, we're blocking all AI platforms from using our information because we do not want to be part of it. There's no good way. You are still, because your information is online, your content is online, just like 15 years ago, your pictures or creative work was online. It's not stoppable at that point. People will use it. At this point, AI platforms will use it, whether you want it or not. It's, I think, the smarter approach, instead of trying to prevent it from happening, a smart approach is to find your opportunity there of how you can benefit from that. What are the low-hanging opportunities that your competitors are not using to be featured by those platforms? I think this approach has more future than trying to block and like, I'm not part of this, I'm not participating.
Sort of like businesses like resisting being on social media. That's only going to sabotage them in the end. So just got to embrace it.
Trying to find your way in that future, your place, your little spot, like how you can benefit from all those AI solutions that are there right now, is much smarter in the long term than finding a way to block all those bots and new AI generated bots and trying to block your slave from showing up on AI overviews. I get the point. I definitely get the point. You created that content. You don't want Google just use it without referencing you. It makes sense. I get it. You just get along with that and try to benefit from it, or you try to go against that evolution process, and ultimately you will lose your place in the future. So, but that's again my personal perspective. I've always had that. I've always thought that it's much smarter to go with the flow and try to find the way to benefit from it than try to prevent it, which is not doable, of course.
The internet's always evolving, so I think you got to ride the wave in order to stay relevant and stay successful on the internet. So
Exactly. And as someone who's been there for 20 years, I feel like I'm doing pretty okay of a job of trying to be relevant. Who
oh, you're
can,
always on top of things.
it is tough. It is tough to be relevant, but I think that mindset of trying to be relevant is much more useful than the mindset of trying to stop whatever is going on and live in that little bubble. It's happening with you or without you.
There's this X-Men movie that like the slogan was adapt to survive or something like that. And I always think of that like on the internet, you have to adapt to survive.
Exactly. And adapting is in most cases not trying to
Yeah.
avoiding what is happening now and trying to say this is wrong, this is not what has to be happening. Yes, this is wrong. All those platforms are using your content. You
Yeah.
either part of that or you are not there at all. So I guess the bottom line from this conversation is stay with us. We're keeping an eye. We will try to do our best to suggest you some ways to benefit from whatever is happening, to try to find the low hanging fruit opportunity in anything that is happening. So keep an eye on our videos, subscribe to my newsletter at nsmarty.com, and we will do our best. And we also welcome some feedback and new ideas from you as well to try and show you what's happening and how you can benefit from it instead of trying to hide from it. And this is our philosophy.